What's up, guys? This is the Ring Generals, and just a quick preview right here. We're going to be doing a little bit of talk of MMA and boxing. But first, we're going to be talking a little bit of a recap of WrestleMania. We're not going to dive into it too much. And after that, we're going to be diving into the Ben Askren and Jake Paul matchup. And then we're going to be talking about, after that, on the same night, it's going to be Kelvin Gastelum versus Robert Whittaker, UFC Fight Night. And what else? Are you excited for this one, Jesse?
Hell yeah, I am, dude. I'm looking forward for this weekend. I'm thinking I'm going to have a couple of cold ones.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And so for right now, hit the damn intro.
It's the sauce, Alexander.
This is Watts.
Make sure you like, subscribe, Ring General Podcast.
And don't forget to subscribe to the Ring Generals, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter.
Absolutely.
Do it, or I will get you.
And you're watching the Ring General Podcast. Turn this man around. Turn this man around. Subscribe, like, and comment.
Well, raise a glass in the sky and salute the Ring Generals.
That's right. That's
Welcome, everybody, to the Ring Generals Podcast. My name is Eric Santos. Alongside me is Jesse Chapparo.
How's it go, jabronis?
How's it going, man? This is going to be a different show for y'all. As you can see, it's just going to be me and Jesse. Earlier this week, RKJ-Man and Nick Nenad did their recap of WrestleMania. So why don't we do a little bit of our own version of the recap of WrestleMania? What happened, man? Just wrap a bow tie. We're not going to be diving too much into it, as we are going to get. We're going to be talking about Ben Askren and Jake Paul, and we're going to be talking about Kelvin Gastelum and Robert Whittaker. So, Jesse, I want to know, man, what happened for WrestleMania? Anything, the good, the bad, and the ugly? What stood out to you? Let me know. Just lay it out there, man.
I mean, look, we had an interesting week. We had Sasha Banks defending her title, which is pretty damn cool. Made things interesting. But there's one that always, the one part that made me laugh, but yet she had a good time. She went with the punches. Mandy Sachs, a.k.a. Manning Rose, going down the ramp, having a little fall, and she got back up and kept on going, doing her thing. That's what I love about the company. About the people, just go with the punches. As for Logan Paul, that's a different take. That's a part that I did not like. It's kind of like the Bad Bunny all over again. But as soon as Logan Paul came in, it's just kind of the last straw for me. I decided not to watch that part. They need to come up with something a little bit more creative. But overall, the weekend was pretty damn lit. It was pretty damn great. So that's all I can say.
No, yeah, without a doubt. I think they did do a good job of having two nights, which is something that a lot of fans have been voicing for a while now. And I think us for the Ring Generals, we've been talking about that for these past few years, how they could just cut it down to two nights instead of having like 9 to 12 hours of wrestling, which is basically the entire day. And adding to the point of Mandy Rose slipping, it was actually raining, so there was a little bit of a weather delay back in WrestleMania this weekend. So, hey, shout outs to the fans out there for hanging on to the wrestling for WrestleMania, for going through that, because I know me, RKJ-Man, and Nick had to go through that back in WrestleMania in 2019, where we were stuck out there until like 1 or 3 a.m. in the morning in rain. And so but that was at the end of the event. So for WrestleMania to have rain throughout the entire show, or bits and pieces, or come and go, the fans stuck by, and the wrestling, like the entire event, it went on. So hands off to that. As far as like the main event goes, like for night one, I think they did a good job. For night one, I believe it was the match between Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. Match delivered as promised. They were saying, they did say it was going to be the main event, which obviously Blastradamus, the RKJ-Man, his prophecy was fulfilled again. And yes,
For
and for
a quick second though, I want to know where he's getting these answers from. He must be going to the future. He's got a time capsule somewhere.
probably he's living up to the name right now. So he's been on a roll. He got Francis Ngannou knocking out Stipe Miocic, right? So hey, look, I gotta give credit to the RKJ for that one. Night 2, the main event with the Edge, Daniel Bryan, and Roman Reigns. Great match. A lot of sell points in there. Roman Reigns is still champion, so there looks like there could be that potential matchup between Roman Reigns and The Rock. So that's something for a whole different podcast we could talk about. The bad, obviously, I don't think we need to get onto the Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt situation. Yeah. Celebrities like Bad Bunny. I got to give credit to Bad Bunny, though. He did do his best out there to perform in front of everybody. I thought that Logan Paul were to get himself more involved into the match between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. But I think the match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, it was better off not having Logan Paul there, because I don't know, really, to be honest, I really don't know what the whole thing is with Logan Paul being involved. I think these guys having a match between just themselves proves that they can have a good match without having anybody else.
I agree.
Without a doubt, man. Speaking of Logan Paul, we do know that his brother, good way to segue into the next topic we're going to be talking about. Logan Paul's brother will be fighting. His brother is named by the name of Jake Paul, the problem child, as we know him, as a famous YouTuber. And he's been right now knocking people out. 2 guys as of late, from what I know. The last one, Nate Robinson, right, Jesse?
Nate Robinson, and the other guy's from England, by the Gibbs. I think his name's Gibbs or something like that, along the lines. But for those 2 having to fight, for that, look, I'll say this: they kind of put boxing kind of back on the map. So I'm just giving that credit, because it needed some fresh eyes, and it did, and it did get some fresh eyes. But as for the hardcore boxing community and fans, this is just a damn shame. It's basically putting a circus in front of the whole crowd.
So who is he gonna face? Who is Jake Paul facing this weekend? Is it somebody that we know? Is it somebody that we've seen in mixed martial arts? Is he a boxer? That's the question. Is he a boxer?
Well, not really a boxer. He's more of a wrestler, MMA fighter. But along the lines with the MMA, we can leave out boxing, because we all know this gentleman has no hands. So, but yes, we're talking about the great 5-second losing former one champion, Ben Askren. So,
wow, that's one way to say it. So yes, that is true. Ben Askren will be facing Jake Paul in a boxing match in Triller. And just to elaborate on the event, the thing is with the Jake Paul and Ben Askren fight, they ain't the only ones fighting. So it's going to be in the event, from what I've been seeing as of late, we're going to be seeing Joe Fournier versus Raycon. I'm pretty sure I'm butchering these names, but I apologize for that. And then in the heavyweight, it's going to be Steve Cunningham versus Frank Mir. And
actually, I'm looking forward for that one. At least that one has a little bit more I'm not going to say entertainment, but more of a action-packed bout. At least they know how to throw some punches in this fight. Unfortunately, there's no kicks, so it's gonna be one-sided for one guy. So
it's gonna be a very dynamic and very exciting match. Frank Mir, I'm very curious to see Frank Mir. I think, if anything, I think he's probably one of the much more intelligent and probably one of the better fighters. And I would say maybe Frank Mir, I'd give him more of a shot in boxing than Ben Askren. So that's a whole different thing that we can talk about. And then we have Regis Prograis, or hopefully I'm pronouncing his last name right, versus Ivan Redka. And the cruiserweight, yes, this is a cruiserweight division, Jake Paul versus Ben Askren. And with special special musical performances by Justin Bieber, the Black Keys, and Too Short, and Snoop Dogg, and many more. So yeah, this is definitely going to be one.
You know what else is missing in that? And I'm going to say this and only once. They're missing strippers.
Oh boy.
so, I mean, that's the only thing it's missing. It's basically just entertaining.
Yeah.
That's the only thing they're missing. I think Vince could learn a thing or two from this. Who knows?
No, yeah, without a doubt. This is gonna be Triller is like the only time when we actually did see Triller, like something that did take place in Triller, was Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. Now, if we remember, that night was it got serious in the beginning of the event, but towards the end, if you remember, we remember Adesanya, Sugar Ray Leonard, Mauro Ranallo, and Snoop Dogg on commentary. And out of everybody in the commentary team, the only guy who was taking it seriously was Sugar Ray. And so I want to know who's going to be commentating this one. Is it going to be the same team? I know it's not going to be Adesanya in there, but I do believe Snoop Dogg will be commentating.
Yeah, for me, Snoop Dogg coming into sports in general, he's kind of like, how should I put this? He's our version of RKJ Mid. He's also Stephen A. Smith. I mean, yeah, it's fucking horrible.
Taking jabs at the RKJ man, damn.
Hey, look, it's fucking horrible. But look, I don't think Snoop Dogg should not touch a microphone unless he's gonna damn sing or rap or do little rap battles. But that's the only thing I'm gonna give him for. But he should not touch anything that has to do with sports. It's just stupid, and come on, you can't indulge it, man. It makes things it makes it a sham. So, Sugar Ray Leonard, on the other hand, he's a beast on the mic. He knows what he's talking about. He knows the ins and outs of boxing. So I hope Sugar Ray Leonard's on it. But as for the rest, I hope they're not on it.
Yeah, I mean, let's see what happens in this event. I mean, we'll see. Maybe Snoop Dogg might take it seriously, but that's a whole different thing for commentary. We can go on and on, but the real reason why we're even talking about it is because Jake Paul versus Ben Askren. Okay, Jake Paul has been just going back and forth with Ben Askren on social media. They've been going back and forth about how they're just going to beat the living hell out of each other, and how this is the fight game, and how we've been seeing Jake Paul training with Gamebred Jorge Masvidal, who's going to have a fight next week, I believe. It's going to be Jorge Masvidal versus Kamaru Usman. Stay tuned for the next podcast episode for that one. So yes, so it just ties in everything together, how we have
it's like one big huge present just in a bow tie, just topping it off.
Yes, without a doubt. And I think a lot of people, sports in general, like as far as boxing and MMA, this is exciting. So Jake Paul's been training with Jorge Masvidal, and to take on a former, I guess, I don't know if I can call him a foe, because Jorge Masvidal doesn't really consider him a foe. It's Ben Askren. Jorge Masvidal consider him like a bump on the road. So
okay,
if you remember that,
his little bump on the road on the ways to becoming the BMF champs. So
let's get. I want to get your take, Jesse, on this one. Jake Paul versus Ben Askren. I want to see, what can you expect from this fight? Do you see this fight lasting longer, if they're going to go to the distance, or are you going to see a similar finish of what happened to Nate Robinson up against Jake Paul, or do you think that Ben Askren might have a chance? Do you think his skills as a boxer, his striking skills, have improved?
Ooh, it's tough to say. Look, this is what I'll say though. Ben Askren's weakness has always been boxing. It's no secret. But everything else, his movement, his wrestling is basically his basically bread and butter has always been sharp, but just the boxing was just kind of horrible. We'll say this though, he will get touched up by Jake Paul. Jake Paul has better hands, than Ben Askren at this point right now. And Jake hasn't been into boxing for a while, so but he has been working with professionals, people who can help him sharpen his tools in the ring. So I'm gonna give this to. I'm gonna say it's gonna go the distance. It's not gonna be a clear cut finish because there'll be times where Jake Paul will be having his hands lowering his guard, and anything can happen in boxing. Just like in MMA, put your hands down, put your guard down.
Yeah.
A surprise might come up and hit you. So the only thing Ben Askren's going to have to watch out is those uppercuts. He doesn't do too well with uppercuts, so we'll see. But if I'm going to have to give this a favor, it's going to go with Jake Paul. It's not. You'll be surprised, but yes. But if it goes the distance, then I'll go with Askren.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. I think a lot of people are kind of going in the favor of Jake Paul just by seeing how I don't know if Ben Askren's been training seriously or is he taking this whole thing seriously. But I've been seeing how he's been doing pad work. He's been hitting the heavy bag. It looks kind of stiff. To a lot of professionals, they've been seeing it's kind of stiff, or to the fans, they've been seeing it's kind of like he's like not taking this very seriously. Yeah. And so that's one of the things that I'm concerned about for Ben Askren, and for Jake Paul, how I've been seeing him train. Yes, it is true. He's been training with Jorge Masvidal, as we've been talking about, and so looks like Masvidal. He said that yes, Jake Paul has been taking this seriously. He moved to Florida to take boxing, so he can get into the career of boxing. So he's been really taking this whole thing seriously. That's one of the things that I think a lot of people are not seeing. They just want to see the hated version of Jake Paul, the character that he portrays, or as we can see him as the guy that people love to hate, the YouTuber. But I think a lot of people are not seeing the other side of him, where he can get you in the ring, of what he did to Nate Robinson and what we did to the other boxers in the past. So he's still a young guy, 2-0, I believe, right? So only 2 fights. Yeah. So 2 fights with Jake Paul. For me, Jake Paul has been, as much as I may not like the guy, or I may not give him as much credit, but I will give him credit, and I think I'm going to give him the edge on this one. I think Jake Paul, he's going to stop him around 4th or 5th round, because I know Ben Askren, he might pull off something, but is it going to be enough? He's just so stuck into the realm of wrestling. He's just so used to being as a wrestler, and now getting into boxing, it's going to be a kind of a different jump, like a whole nother jump, like a whole different realm for Ben Askren to come in the ring, as opposed to the octagon, or where he was in Bellator and won championship in the UFC. So yeah, this one's going to be it's one of those things where Jake Paul is going to I think prove the doubters wrong, and he's going to go out there and gloat, saying that I just be an MMA fighter, and this is going to be his chance.
Yeah, I fairly agree with that assessment, Eric. The other part of that, I will disagree, though, not on your part, but him coming out saying he's try to draw out Conor McGregor, he's trying to draw out like a John Jones.
Yeah.
It's basically, yeah.
Let's not get there. Not yet.
No,
Let's not get there. Just not right now.
But I'll say this, though. He does have hands.
Yeah.
It's just the way he acts, the way his persona is kind of, it makes him faulty to the point that not even Dana White will indulge, to the point like him having a cross promotion, a fight like you've seen it with Mayweather and Conor, and other organizations done something similar, but he won't indulge in that. It's unfortunate, though. I bet a lot of people would love to see that. But yeah, Jake Paul will probably take this victory and gloat, say, "Hey, I beat an MMA guy. give me your best guy, type of style. But hey, who knows how this outcome will turn out. So the best of both luck to both gentlemen, and let's see.
Yeah. Yeah. Best of luck to both of them, and with all respect for in the world to Jake and Ben Askren. I know there's gonna be a lot of critics in this one, but it is what it is. And the thing is that for those people out there who I know at the same night who do not want to watch Jake Paul versus Ben Askren, there's also another event taking place that night, which also brings us to our next topic, and it happens to be UFC Fight Night, Kelvin Gastelum versus Robert Whittaker.
Ooh.
And that's not all, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a whole different topic on this one, because how I look at it, it's actually going to be other fighters in this one. So let's just run through the names in this event. It's going to be Jeremy Stephens versus Drager Close, and Andre Arlovsky versus Chase Sherman. Freaking Alex Munoz is in this card, and freaking Luis Pena, dude. It's a stacked card in this one. What do you think about it?
I think this is a pretty damn great card for a fight night.
Fight night, yeah.
This will be part of one of my favorite fight night cards of the year, at the latest right now. Luis Pena, unfortunately, he's been coming like in back-to-back losses. Some of them are kind of, how should I say, controversial to the point that even he himself kind of can't believe that he comes up the short end of the stick, because he always comes from a split decision loss, back-to-back losses. Wins he should have had overturned, I guess, but hopefully he'll get back on the backtrack of winning again. He's a phenomenal fighter. If you know that guy's backstory, he went through a lot, and still being humble as a person, that the way he is, the way he carries himself. Great guy.
No, yeah, without a doubt. I'm also excited for this one with Jeremy Stephens. This is going to be up against Close. So this one's going to be, it's one of those things where Jeremy Stephens can come back. He's coming up from a loss from Calvin Kattar. And then we also have Andre Arlovsky, who has fought, I forgot what was his name, Arlovsky. Who did he fight again in the heavyweight division?
He's fought a lot of guys, but I think his latest loss was against shit. I don't even know.
I kind of blank.
But anyways, he's fought a who's who in the UFC.
Aspinall. Tom Aspinall. That was his name. Yeah.
The guy's pushing up there. He's up there with DC. He's up there with Randy Couture, who basically towards the end of their career, that's where they're kind of peaking. But Andre Arlovsky, on the other hand, slowly kind of degrading, just like Junior Dos Santos, Cain Velasquez, and and so on. And
been around for a while.
Yeah, he's been around. He's a pioneer. He's a pioneer. And Chase Sherman, young buck coming up, trying to get up to the heavyweight contention and possibly fight for the title in his future. The way I kind of see this kind of going, if Sherman could play it safe, not play it safe, but play it smart, pick his shots, pick them apart, then he should have a pretty good win. But Andre Arlovsky is no slouch. He's got hell of a punching power, but the man lets loose way too much, and to the point, he gets caught. So anything can happen between those two heavyweights. As for Jeremy Stephens and Drac Close, I haven't heard much about Drac Close, but Jeremy Stephens, back-to-back losses to Aldo, Kattar, who else? To Yair.
Yeah.
That guy has fought as who's who as well, but he wants to get back in that winning column so bad and try to get that title. But the man's trying not to get caught in the brawls, but that's the way he is.
Yeah. I'm kind of backtracking a little bit with Orlovsky. I remember the first time. I think it was one of the first times when I was watching him. It was that Bully Beatdown TV show that Jason Mayhem Miller hosted. Yeah, and he was one of them. And I remember guys like Eddie Alvarez was in there, and Orlovsky was one of them. And it was pretty funny how he's beating down the Bully. And yeah, he's been around. It just makes me wonder, like, gee, this guy's been around for a while. And he's just still fighting. You know?
He's actually fought what's it called, Fedor Emelianenko, and you know, he got caught and got knocked out. But like you said, you know, some of these guys come from you probably seen them before in the Bully Beatdown before you even see them any other organizations. Unfortunately, though, this is not a Bully Beatdown. This is
he ain't fighting a bully this time. He's actually fighting a guy who's just as almost skilled, or maybe just as 10 times younger than him. But all respect to Arlovsky, you know, all respect to him. I'm pulling for him. You know, hopefully he can come back from again his last loss against Tom, and so I'm definitely cheering him on. So he's one of my favorites. And so on to the next fight, which is obviously the main event: Kelvin Gastelum versus Robert Whittaker, one of my favorite fighters in the middleweight division. This is a fight that should have happened. I believe it was like 2 years ago, right? Or 3 years ago?
2 years ago, but unfortunately, a lot of weird things happened during that. Because what led to that was after I think one of the fighters who basically kind of retired or was stripped, and then Robert Whittaker was the interim champ, and he was supposed to fight Luke Rockhold, and you know he had to pull out because he had a hernia. You know, unfortunately he had health issues, and then you know Yoel Romero came in, knocked Luke out, and boom, it kind of dismantled who's number one contender, and you know Yoel Romero, as we all know, freak of the nature.
Still is, man. I love you. I love you, Michael Bisping.
And then and Kevin Gastelum, you know, coming up in the ranks and basically putting guys away, future Hall of Famers, basically, or if not Hall of Famers at this point, was knocking them down. And you know, that was supposed to fight. That fight should have happened in Australia, but fortunately, we saw another great fight in Israel Adesanya and Gastulem.
That's right.
It's a legendary, epic fight in Australia, which unfortunately Robert Whittaker could not go, you know, participate. Again with health issues. Now, fast forward 2 years later, both of them title. One's a former champ, the other one is a title contender. These guys are gonna roll back and not hold any punches, and hopefully we'll see another action-packed, possibly another fight of the year candidate. You know, we'll see how things goes. Robert Whittaker's got you know some great past performances. Him fighting against Till. Who else did he fight? What is it?
Romero. He fought Romero. He fought Ronaldo Salsa, Derek Brunson, and Uriah Hall. And he went up against Stephen Thompson, but you know it didn't work out so well. Yeah.
What I'm saying is that you know his latest couple of fight streak wins kind of put him back in the title picture and title mix, and you know, and Gastulem unfortunately came from a loss, I think recently to what was it, Hermanson, which Whittaker basically put away within like the first 2 rounds.
Oh, he also beat Jared Cannonier, but it was a unanimous decision from last year. Yeah.
So, you know, Rob's no slouch, and we're gonna see some great fights be put on Fight Night. But as for me, I'm pulling for Robert Whittaker for the win. But I'm pretty sure you could disagree, Eric, if you're gonna go with. Who's your pick? I'll say this. Who's your guy?
Well, let me just elaborate a little bit for Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin Gastelum, he's one of those guys where he can come back and he has great stamina
Oh,
and
he's a warrior.
great a warrior. You also got Robert Whittaker, who's also can go toe to toe with anybody. He went toe to toe with a freak of nature like Yoel Romero. He went up against a guy like Darren Till, Jared Cannonier. We can go on and on. And so just a list of guys that he mowed down. I know it's going to be one hell of a night. I don't see a knockout. I see more of a knockout drag out brawl and going to into a split decision. And so I can see Kelvin Gastelum. I just don't see the guy going down. Not at all. I mean, you can see how long he stood up against Israel Adesanya. Even though he lost, it took him a while to even be put down. So for Robert Whittaker, if he's going to rely on his boxing, it's going to take a while for Kelvin Gastelum to get knocked down because he has just a great chin. For Robert Whittaker, I love the guy. A fan of video games. A fan of the Fallout and Elder Scrolls. From one streamer to the next. From one, two gaming fans to another. Yes. I can see why we love the guy. And he's also another guy that came off of a really tough loss against Israel Adesanya. If you remember, after the fight, he said that he was not the same, and then he came back, and then he fought Darren Till, and then he won by decision. Same thing with Jared Cannonier. So it looks like, as of right now, with the healthy and a better mindset of Robert Whittaker, he can beat Kelvin Gastelum. He can't beat him, but I don't see him knocking him down. So
yeah,
if as much as I love Robert Whittaker, and I will be cheering for him, I can't doubt Kelvin Gastelum.
No, that's true.
Yeah, I cannot doubt him. So if I can see who's been landing more punches, more takedowns, it's Kelvin Gastelum. He's the much more smaller guy, and so for Kelvin Gastelum, it's going to be easier for him to ankle pick him. And so what I think is out Kelvin Gastelum, he's going to take him down, but he's not going to knock him down. And I can see Kelvin Gastelum win this one by takedowns, punches, and probably I would say, yeah, it's going to go decision in favor of Kelvin Gastelum.
Yeah, it's a very great assessment, fair assessment as well. As you said, you stated in the past, he went toe to toe with beasts such as Israel Adesanya.
That's right.
He's actually the only fighter that I've seen that actually closed the distance, knocked Israel Adesanya not once but twice down, maybe a slip here and there. But so I mean, I put a knockdown in my books. Once you hit the canvas, you hit the canvas. But yes, he took some. He took some wild punches and then delivered some of himself. So, Kelvin Gastelum's fantastic closing the distance. Inside boxing, you can get inside the pocket and knock somebody out. We've seen it with Bisping. We've seen it with other fighters.
Yeah, I remember that fight.
I think I've seen it with when he fought Vitor Belfort. I think I may be wrong. Dude, this is just basically a crazy fight, great fight. I wish the best of luck to these two guys, especially since, these guys were supposed to fight 2 years ago, and now we finally get to see it as fans. But fortunately, we won't be there, but maybe some other people will, if they allow fans. But do you think the winner of this fight is next in line for the title picture?
Absolutely. Whoever wins this one, I think it's going to be, Adesanya up against two former foes.
Yeah.
Kelvin Gastelum or Robert Whittaker. It's going to be, and this can be for a different topic. This can be Israel Adesanya up against a much more healthier and much more better mindset Robert Whittaker, or take on a much more dangerous and much more skilled former foe who he had a great battle.
Oh, legendary
battle. Why not have that again?
Yeah, no.
Why not? Yeah.
But I'll add one other thing. Now, since we've seen not Kevin Gastelum. Israel Adesanya exposed. His weakness were exposed in his previous fight with, Jan Blachowicz. We all know he didn't basically give him a chance of winning that fight. Let's be honest. No, but he got exposed. Do you think those takedowns will come into play should he face either foe such as Robert Whittaker or Kevin Gastelum?
It will happen. I know Adesanya says that he still wants to be in the light heavyweight division, but you still got to keep your eye in the back for these warriors, guys like Gastelum and Whittaker, to go after your title. And so I can see these guys going up against Adesanya. It's just a matter of, the weakness part about Adesanya. Yes, it's the takedowns. So something that Adesanya has to work on, because I remember he was working on that when he went up against Yoel Romero. But we all know that the fight didn't go as planned. No takedowns, and it wasn't much of a good match at all. So, I think for Gastelum and Whittaker, now they see, we know your weakness. There's also at the same time in the favor of Adesanya is like, I got to work on that. I got to work on, countering. I got to work on stay away from the takedowns. So it works 50-50 on both, on whoever he faces and on Adesanya.
Yeah, no, yeah. Great stuff. What should I say? So as for this weekend, we got an action-packed weekend. We got Jake Paul,
his brother.
Frank Mir versus, what's the gentleman's name again? Forgetting. But anyways, we got.
He's fighting. Frank Mir is fighting. Yeah.
Okay. We got Frank Mir. We got former champions. We got former legitimate fighters against YouTubers. Mm-hmm. Hopefully this does not become a sham. It actually becomes pretty damn great. And then we got Fight Night with Jeremy Stevens. Close. We got Luis Pena facing Ramos. We got the main event, the juicy, the hot steak, Robert Whittaker versus Kevin Gastelum. So there's our picks, and you guys know where to find us. And what can I say? Have a good night, y'all.
Yes, and ladies and gentlemen, and for those out there who want to check out more about WrestleMania 37, the recap, be sure to check out the last video between the RKJ Man and Nick Nenad. They talk more about WrestleMania. They talk more about the good and the bad. They go more in depth, and they're going to be talking about. They also talked about what is going to be in store, maybe in the future, for potential main events. And that's it for us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. And also thank you to those who've been checking out our stuff, our content. Also, be sure to like, comment, subscribe out there. And for next week, we're going to be talking about UFC's big pay-per-view involving fans. It's a jammed house in this one. It's in Jacksonville, Florida. Gamebred Masvidal versus Kamaru Usman. 3 title fights. So we're going to be talking about that as well. So stay tuned for the next episode, and make sure to hit the like, comment, subscribe button. And as always, raise a glass in the sky and salute the Ring Generals.
I got a wine bottle here. So
there you go. There it is.